Hi class, it's Mia, and this is my final presentation on the solar system. This presentation will cover how the solar system formed, what the significant astronomical bodies are in our solar system, and provide interesting information about each object. I hope you enjoy it. Scientists believe that our solar system was created when a cloud of dust and gas was disturbed, possibly from the death of another star. The cloud then collapses from this disturbance, and pockets of dust begin to denser and start pulling in more matter. Gravity pulls these denser pockets together, and they begin to speed up and get hotter, forming a solar nebula. The clouds begin to spin and form a hot, dense center and less hot and flattened disk around it. This center became the sun, and the rest of this protoplanetary disk eventually begins to collect and form planets from dust colliding and collecting over time. Now the solar system looks something like this. In this presentation, I'm going to go over some of the most significant astronomical objects in our solar system, including the Sun, Mercury, Venus, the Moon, Mars, the Asteroid Belt, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and what lies beyond Neptune. The Sun is the center of our solar system, but is definitely not the center of our galaxy. Our galaxy is about 100,000 light years wide, and we're about 25,000 light years from the center of the galaxy. So there we are, and this is the orbit. Our sun is located on a minor arm of the Milky Way galaxy called Orion's Arm. Orion's Arm is between the Sagittarius and Perseus arms of the Milky Way. The sun accounts for about 99.8% of all the mass of our solar system, and its gravity controls all of the objects that orbit it. The sun is the source of all life and energy on the Earth. For these reasons, I think that the most interesting fact about the sun is that it'll eventually destroy all of the life it once sustained. The sun is slowly heating at a rate of 10% more lumens every billion years. Within a few billion years, the sun will have heated up enough so there is no water on the surface of the Earth. And after 7 billion years, the sun will have reached its red giant phase and will have consumed the Earth as well as the other inner planets. While it is most likely we will have killed ourselves off in a different way long before then, it's still interesting to think about. Our next astronomical object is Mercury, which is here. It is the smallest of the 8 planets, and it is about 39.98 million miles from the sun. Mercury is the closest planet to the sun and is also one of the most extreme astronomical objects temperature-wise. Mercury is way too hot and small to have a significant atmosphere. This causes one side of Mercury to be extremely hot and can reach temperatures of 801 degrees Fahrenheit. However, the side of Mercury that does not face the sun is cast in shadows that make the surface temperature negative 279 degrees Fahrenheit. These temperatures show the importance of size, atmosphere, and distance from the sun that can affect a planet. Our next astronomical object is Venus. Here's the position of the sky right now. Venus is 67.24 million miles away from the sun. Venus is the second planet from the sun and is, in my opinion, the most extreme planet. Venus is the hottest world in the solar system. Although Venus is not the planet closest to the sun, its dense atmosphere traps heat and creates a hellish version of the greenhouse effect. Venus's atmosphere is 96% carbon dioxide gas. The surface of Venus can reach temperatures of up to 870 degrees Fahrenheit. Probes that have landed there have only been able to last a few hours before being destroyed. Our next astronomical object is the Moon. It's right there. The Moon is 238,000 miles from the Earth. Today, it is almost a full moon. The most interesting about the Moon to me is that we have been able to explore it in person. 12 men have been on the Moon in total, the most famous being the first man on the Moon, Mission Commander Neil Armstrong and pilot Buzz Aldrin. They landed the lunar module Eagle on July 20th, 1969 as part of the Apollo 11 mission. They spent about 2 hours together outside the spacecraft and collected 47.5 pounds of lunar material to return to Earth. The next astronomical object is Mars. This is the location of Mars in the sky right now. Mars is 141 million miles away from the sun. But the most intriguing thing about Mars, in my opinion, is if there is a possibility of us being able to live there and have sustainable communities. Mars is not currently hospitable to humans because of its extremely cold temperatures, unbreathable atmosphere, and constant radiation. However, there still continues to be a desire to live on Mars for the sake of exploration, as well as having a backup planet if we destroy our planet Earth. The only way that humans could survive on Mars is if they had a heated and pressurized place to live, as well as supply drops from Earth until the people on Mars had enough resources to live there on their own. It's not a very realistic goal to have right now, but it's still interesting to think about. The Asteroid Belt is a circular disk in our solar system that is located between Mars and Jupiter. It is composed of irregular bodies called asteroids, and there are an estimated 1.9 million asteroids bigger than a kilometer and millions of smaller ones. The asteroid belt has the highest concentration of asteroids in our solar system. Some of these asteroids contain precious materials such as nickel, iron, and titanium, which make asteroids a target for mining operations. When humans are able to have a presence throughout the solar system, asteroid mining could become a thing. In 2013, mining companies began to make these plans for missions such as these. Depending on your point of view, this could be wonderful or terrible. Our next astronomical object is Jupiter. This is where Jupiter is located in the sky right now. Jupiter is 483 million miles away from the Sun. Jupiter is the fifth planet from the Sun and is also the largest. Jupiter has a mass of 2.5 times larger than that of all the other planets combined. Jupiter also has 51 moons orbiting the planet, which are divided into 3 groups: inner moons, Galilean moons, and outer moons. The Galilean moons are significant because they were some of the first of Jupiter's moons to be discovered and are the largest. The Galilean moons are Io, Europa, Ganymede, and Callisto. My personal favorite is Europa because there has been some possibility of life underneath its surface. The surface of Europa is frozen, covered with a layer of ice, but scientists think there's an ocean beneath the surface. There has been some debate on whether or not the ocean underneath the surface could hold life within, and there have been some planned missions to Europa to drill underneath the surface, but nothing definitive yet. The next astronomical object we're going to cover is Saturn. It is 888 million miles away from the Sun. The most striking thing about Saturn is its extensive ring system, which is the largest in our solar system. Saturn rings are made up of dust, rock, and ice gathered from comets, meteorite impacts, and the planet's gravity pulling material from its moons. The rings range from being 10 meters thick to as much as a kilometer thick. Saturn's rings are about 175 miles across, and within the rings there are 62 moons. The next astronomical object is Uranus. Uranus is 1.78 billion miles away from the Sun. Only one spacecraft has made an approach to Uranus. The spacecraft that approached Uranus was NASA's Voyager 2, which reached its closest approach to Uranus on January 24, 1986, passing the cloud tops. Voyager 2 took thousands of photographs of the ice giant and its moons before heading off towards Neptune. No other spacecraft have been sent to Uranus, and there are no future plans of sending more as of right now. Neptune is the last planet that we are going to cover in this presentation. This is where Neptune is located, and Neptune is the farthest planet from the Sun and is 2.79 billion miles away from the Sun. The weather on Neptune is one of the most intense weather systems in the solar system. Large storms appear in Neptune's upper atmosphere, and high-speed winds go around the planet at up to 550 kilometers per hour. One of the largest storms ever seen was recorded in 1989. It was called the Great Dark Spot, and it lasted about 5 years. It is often compared to the Great Red Spot on Jupiter, and the Great Dark Spot was about the size of the United States. Beyond Neptune, there is a dwarf planet called Pluto. This dwarf planet is not famous for what it is, but rather it is famous for what it is not. Pluto was discovered in 1930 by U.S. astronomer Clyde Tombaugh, who was using the Lowell Observatory in Arizona. Pluto was classified as a planet and was quickly introduced in textbooks and in the news. However, in 2006, it was relegated to the status of a dwarf planet in the International Astronomical Union. This caused a major outrage, and people across the globe felt sorrow over the loss of the planet. Since then, there has been much debate on whether or not Pluto is a planet. I believe that our exploration of the solar system should focus on the discovery of life. I believe that if we can discover life in places that we deem inhospitable for it, then we can create new ways to survive and learn about life outside of our narrow view of it. My favorite topic was probably Venus because I found it hilarious that it is known as our sister planet because of its shape and size, but the surface of Venus is hellish, the atmosphere is mainly carbon dioxide, and is covered in volcanoes. It's also funny to me because we only have very few pictures of Venus because its extremely hot temperature would ruin the equipment we sent there. We know so little about it except the most important thing, which is that it is basically hell. Thank you for watching.